Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Moss. This is Somos Reacts. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this evening, the one, the only Jacob Terrell. Jacob, we are coming live to folks tonight with our instant reaction to the New Mexico United season opening win over the Miami FC by a final score of 1-0. The lone goal, of course, comes by way of a Justin Portillo penalty conversion. So something we have seen from Justin time and time again. What is your initial reaction to this match tonight?
Yeah, I thought it was a solid overall performance. Defensively, I thought I can't think of a good chance Miami really had aside from a couple shots from way outside the box that kind of maybe could have been frightening. But other than that, I think we controlled the match from beginning to end. We weren't nearly as dangerous as I thought we should be. There were several players that didn't necessarily impress me attacking. But at the end of the day, 3 points on the road. Can't really complain about that. I liked the direct play that we had. We had a lot more long balls from that back line up there, and I thought we were a lot better today than I think I've ever seen us get to second balls. Like we were really, really good at that, and that led to some of the most dangerous chances that we had, including to some extent the penalty against Paco Craig there.
Yeah, you bring up so many different things there. Defensively, an absolutely incredible game. You saw just you saw the compactness there. You saw Miami getting forced out wide because they couldn't do anything at all through the middle. You saw play from Austin Yearwood forcing them out wide. Harry Schwartz forcing them out wide on the right hand side there. Harry Schwartz, on the other hand, fantastic game up and down the pitch. But yeah, defensively, one of the best efforts I think we've ever seen from this club. And they did really stifle that Miami attack. And you mentioned Miami only having a handful of chances, and really their best opportunity came in like a 60 to 68 minute window, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were pressing towards the end, but even then, those opportunities that they had there to close out the game really weren't the same as that 8 to 10 minute window, and that really wasn't anything other than Miami had just a good run of play.
Yeah, but they never like especially after we got the lead. We're always talking about holding on to the lead and how we have struggled with that in the past and whatnot. And I mean, from the moment we got the lead until the final whistle, even with them pushing and having control of the ball, they never scared me like they had, like other teams have at times in that situation.
Harry, appreciate you over there. What USL team is I9 Sports? I'm a I9 coach. Thank you very much.
That does sound like a NISA team.
It does. It really does. But yeah, no, I mean, Miami didn't really seem to threaten. I mean, we had guys stepping in the ball, step up, winning the second balls and getting to those loose ones, and that's something that we really haven't seen for long stretches of time, for the duration of a match, I should say. And then looking at that also tonight, we talk a lot in the past about how United seems to switch off in the past, and that didn't happen at all tonight. It was a very consistent, steady gameplay throughout the entire evening, and it starts at the back.
I will kind of argue that we never really fully switched on.
Attacking, yes, but
as far as like I still never got it was nice at times because they were always calm and cool and collected, but there also was never like a sense of urgency the same sense of urgency that we always desired last season. Wasn't there a lot of the time this year or this match either. But at least we saw the long balls and creating that way. I mean, I pulled up the stats. We did lose the majority of the aerial duels, but we were able to get to those second balls off of those aerial duels and create opportunity and kind of chaos that way. And I think you can kind of make a couple of excuses for the offensive lack there of potential there. And one, these guys were, I mean, it wasn't super hot out there, but it was definitely humid. They were definitely sweating. They were definitely cramping up. I mean, Harry cramped up right before he came off. I saw Sam go down late with some cramps. And so I think
78% humidity.
Yeah. So I think that could have been part of what the offense was kind of struggling with. But at the same time, um, they looked good. I think some individual performances were a little lacking. Santi really was not very Santi-like for the majority of the match. He did do a few things good in spurts. Amando, he was
he had an opportunity there in that 3-on-2, and he just
Yep.
didn't play the ball soon enough.
and had a heavy touches all over the place, especially in the first half. I mean, just heavy touch after heavy touch by everybody. And I think that could have been nerves, adrenaline going, first match on the road with a screaming fan base there. Yeah, I mean, just got to be intimidating to play there. And so I think once they settled down, you saw the touches get better. You saw some passing get better. Just couldn't quite get to that finishing stage. But honestly, I thought there could have been another handball earlier in the match. He came in, he had his hand behind his back, but he kind of had a chicken wing out, and it clearly hit it. So at the end of the day, I do feel like we were the better club, and we got the points that we deserved. And I mean, what can you say about Kenny stepping up there and burying it? Led yet another PK. I think he had 7.
That sounds right. I'd have to double check. It was 7 or 8 last year.
He had 8 goals, but I want to say either 6 or 7 of them were from the PK spot, and he had 1 miss or one failed attempt, I believe. But comes up, nails, hits you with the little Iceman celebration there, and then the defense did what they needed to do to see it through.
Yeah, you talk about that first handball there. I mean, obviously, when you look, we have an opportunity to look at the replay. The arm was clearly outside the frame of the body. Should have been called a penalty there for the handball. Now, from the referee's vantage point, I don't think he had a good view of it. So that could be it. I mean, it's one of those things, I can talk to an anecdote from today, in front of tens of people. Yes. Apparently the reported attendance was 1,400. So just a raucous crowd in Miami this evening. I had one today where ball got played, came off the defender, went back and hit the attacker in the arm. I called handball on the attacker. They yelled it was a handball on the defender. I'm like, well, from my vantage point, I don't see the handball on the defender. So, it's hard, especially you can have the best positioning in the world. If someone runs in front of you or the ball hits at the wrong angle, like it's just not you're not gonna see it. So, the attack was definitely a little bit lacking. I think there was a lot of feeling out in that tonight, not necessarily like solid attempts, going into the box. There were a few. Santi was a bit high on a few of his crosses, but there's still some work to be done. Definitely not what we saw in the preseason. But again, we talked about it, in the show this week. This is our first real test. We didn't necessarily play full, first teams during the preseason. So, definitely some feeling out there. Hurst didn't have a great night. Amando didn't have a great night. I don't think Hurst got the delivery that he needed. There was one ball in particular in the first half I thought was fantastic. Fantastic ball over the top. Just a bit too much on it for Hurst to get to it. But, it's just, solid defensive game plan. We played well there. And I think the offense is going to get there.
So we talked before the match on Tuesday, and you specifically, my kids are not asleep right now, so they're very interested in what is going on over here.
Mine's in that room over there.
Yeah, but you said you were interested in watching Kalen. What did you think of Mr. Ryden there?
This back three tonight, Kalen, Will, Austin, fantastic. And then you've got Justin and Sam in front of them. I felt Kalen looked really good tonight. He really did. He made the right reads. He made the right shifts. He didn't get beat on anything. This is what I want to see from Kalen. after the year that he had last year, this is what I really wanted to see out of him. So yeah, just
Do you
great
feel
performance.
do you feel like he was tested very much? Because I can't. It's hard for me to differentiate the lack of just any
Mhm.
attacking presence by Miami versus what we contributed to that. Like if it was just our defense was so solid that they couldn't
Yeah.
do anything, or if they were just a disaster on offense. I couldn't quite tell which one was that.
Well, so I think what so no, do I think he was tested enough? No. But I liked what I saw. And the reason I don't think he was tested enough is because of the way that we lined up at the back. Typically we have, our wide our mids, drop back. We did see that a little bit, not so much on the left side because you had Austin kind of slide out to the left instead of playing that left center back. And so what that did is
But
that
we were in a 4 in the back.
yeah, essentially, because you had Harry on the right, but Harry was bombing up more often than he was dropping back, and so
Austin was up more than I thought he
Austin was
would.
up way high on some
Yeah.
of those. But
But I think
um,
that's that four at the back mentality where both of those guys are going to be bombing up. Because every time we got in possession, especially, you definitely just saw Seymour and Ryden back there
yeah,
in the channels, and then Austin and Austin was up a little bit, and then Harry was
yeah,
usually real far up, which is what I expected, especially after the preseason game. But and Harry, I wasn't crowning him. I legitimately was just asking Seth what he thought because I
I was hard on Harry on Kalen last year, and
right.
I felt it was deserved because he did not look the same at all. But um, yeah, I felt like with the way that we played with that, with a 3-4 at the back, Austin sliding out a little bit more wide when he was in that defensive position, it forced Miami out wide, and they did not look comfortable at all.
Mhm.
They didn't look comfortable with that. If you look at how they played last week against FC Tulsa, Miami did a similar thing. They forced FC Tulsa way out wide, and FC Tulsa couldn't deal with it. For the most part, I should say. And then Miami, they played a lot through the middle last week.
Mhm.
So by forcing them out wide, and then by having Sam and Justin drop where they were and holding down that defensive mid right there, right in front of the back four, they just did not give Miami an opportunity to really try to work the center of that box. And so I think that helped contribute to it as well. Um, but yeah, I do like what I saw out of Kalen tonight. I think this is a good showing against a talented Miami team. So I think it's a really good sign for him.
Agreed. I think it was a good sign for really the club in general to go to an Eastern Conference playoff team from last year, somebody that was projected to finish the playoffs. I think the four of us that were on the preview pod all had them borderline playoff team at least, and to go over there first game of the season and walk away with 3 points, even if it wasn't the prettiest soccer in the world, is still going to be a good thing. Who stood out other than Kalen uh, to you?
Sam Hamilton, really great night from Sam.
Is that why you were smiling?
That's exactly why I was smiling. Um, you know, five tackles, really great positioning. Did a really good job of locking down there at the back, and you saw his movement and his positioning all over the pitch tonight. And yeah, I think he earned. It really seems as though he earned the captain's armband. And just watching him play tonight, you could see him being vocal, being in the right positions, making recovery runs. Really great performance out of Sam tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you mentioned it. He was named team captain, ending Suggs's 4-year run as the team captain, which surprised me a little bit. And then Suggs isn't even one of the other captains underneath Sam. There, it was Sam, Kalen, and then Justin. So kind of surprised me there. But then he comes out and he performs like this and keeps his composure and gets a foot in when he needs to, controls pace. Just all in all was a really really uh, really good performance there. And I think him and Justin in particular in those two defensive mid positions are gonna sorry, he was playing with scissors. I don't know how that happened. um, uh, those two being back there, if they can keep performing like they did tonight, that's going to help that back line a ton and sure up our defense tremendously. I think offensively, and I mentioned how it was a little disappointing. I think a lot of it was just heavy touches because I think we created good chances, or at least we got in good spots to create chances. And if we just have a little bit better touch here and there, Amondo's 2-on-3, 3-on-4, whatever it was, sticks out a lot there because that ball just gets a little bit away from him, and then he's got to he's got to reach to get back to it. He does get back to it, but then he's not in position to make a good touch to get around the defender there. And the defender, credit to him, I mean, he times his tackle perfectly, gets a foot in, knocks it away. You'd like to see maybe a softer touch and then be able to get that ball out a little sooner instead of having to reach for it. And so just little things like that. I think those get cleaned up. We've got 2 more weeks. We're off on the 25th, so we've got a little bit of time before we get back out there. Hopefully we can get out there and get our touches settled. We got Oakland coming up, which we'll talk more about. Not this coming Tuesday, but the next Tuesday, since we have a week off there. But it's a favorable start to the season, in my opinion. I think we've got plenty of time to work out some kinks before we get a real tough stretch. Because once we get into the swing of especially these Western Conference teams, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. But I think that offense will eventually gel, and we can look a lot better there. Be interesting to see if these long balls over the top from the back. We saw I saw a little bit of it in preseason, not so much in execution, but you could hear the conversations going with Zach yelling at Ryden, "Hey, you got to see that run. You got to hit that long diagonal there. You got to do this. You got to do that." And they were able to hit several of those, and I'm curious to see if that's a every match type thing that we continue to see, or if it was more of a, hey, Miami's susceptible to this, let's get after it. So either way, I think it was a great team performance. I can't really poke a hole in it, and I'm real excited to start off with 3 points. It's Harry said it's only one game to calm down on surrounding my favorite center back, and so I'm going to look at just the first part. It is just one game. It's just one match, but that was what was in front of us. Zach and the guys went out and executed. Zach did only use 3 subs in that humidity. I thought we could have used a little more rotation. Do you agree with that, or am I just picking nits here?
I think it's a little bit of picking nits. I mean, along the same lines, I would have liked to see them a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Because again, we talked about that, the 60 to 68 minute mark seemed to be a little bit of a heavy leg, but the guys kept their shape defensively. Really didn't really give up a great opportunity there. So I'd say it's picking nits just a little bit. But David Carl over in the chat, appreciate you being here. We absolutely said it correct. We won. We did. We won. Great way to start the season for New Mexico United. Let's see, going back to, we won our opener last year. So 2 years in a row, we won our opening match. So really great news for New Mexico United. Things looked really good tonight. Some things to build on. Were you a little bit surprised that we didn't see some of the other new signings a little bit?
Not so much. This was who was left on the bench after the subs we made was Parker, Colonna, Sosa, and Wagner. Dolling came on in the 71st, so he wasn't going to come off for Wagner. Maybe we would have seen Wagner if we would have been down a goal towards the end instead. But with him, with having the lead at that point, that late, it doesn't surprise me there. Sosa, our defensive midfielders, our midfield in general was just lights out and looked fairly healthy. Like Portillo didn't seem like he was struggling at all. Same with Sam, other than the cramps there towards the end, which could have been a little gamesmanship since we did have a lead at that point. and then Kelowna wasn't going to come in for now they found a bell. I don't understand.
You do realize you've been a parent for a number of years now.
Yes,
and you're about to have another child.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, so the amount of noise is only going to increase.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we record after they go to bed.
Yeah, typically.
Kelowna wasn't going to come on because Seymour and Ryden were nails back there, so doesn't really surprise me. It's a little strange that Zolly wasn't in the 18 at all. I would have liked to have seen one of the other defensive mids in the 18. But at the end of the day, doesn't really surprise me. And honestly, now looking at the sheet, 3 subs is about what I expect because the other people that we had in the positions that they play, we just didn't necessarily need subbed off at that point. So
and real quick, I do want to point out, Bees was not on the team sheet.
Right.
Some folks had asked questions about it. Bees' kid was born this week. So congratulations to Chris and Holly Wehan on the birth of their child.
Mm-hmm.
So Bees did not travel this weekend. I actually ran into him this morning, him and Devin Sandoval and David Estrada down at Kramer Field. So really good to see them, really good to talk to them. Again, congratulations to Chris and Holly on the addition to their family. So that's why Bees was not there. I know there were some questions about that. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm the same boat as you. Given the situation, given who we had and how well everyone was playing, I didn't really take issue with it. I know I'd like to see them more. I thought Christian Nava had a pretty good night. So excited to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I think real quick on Nava, I thought he was good. He was all over the place like he does. His size still just every time a ball, an aerial duel was in the middle of the field and I saw him near it, I was like, well, what are we gonna do here? Because he obviously isn't gonna win it. But and he didn't, I don't believe, because he's a foot shorter than just about everybody out there. But he still hustles, he still scraps. There was one, I believe it was a Mondo played a diagonal towards the box and Nava was making a run and just barely missed out. It got to the keeper just a split second before he could get there. And that could have been a special moment there if it was just a little bit different. And then on a completely different side note, go ahead.
I was saying maybe it's just Christian looks like he's filled out a little bit, so maybe that'll help.
I mean, he has obviously. Yeah. He also has the tattoo, which makes him look bigger.
I mean, it did for Diego Luna, so
yeah, and so yeah, he does fill out, but that's not height. He wasn't. You're right though. He wasn't muscled off nearly as much as he was like last season, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I also just to touch base a little bit. We talked about the missed handball or possible missed handball, but other than that, I thought the referee did a really good job tonight. He was a little card happy for me early.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of set a tone and it kept the match under control, and we didn't see anything really get too crazy. And so I want to give kudos to him because I know they get a lot of shit all the time. So.
The early yells I think did help. He did miss a few things. But it was a pretty well handled match. Nothing too serious happened. So can't complain.
And that just goes to my point that one man should not be covering the whole pitch inside the lines because he's gonna miss stuff. But anyways, I digress. Colorado just tied it up on Hartford in the 89th minute. And so. But I've got a crying kid now, so I'm pretty much done. I'm good. Any final thoughts?
Real quick, a shout out to the Rudders who picked up a win in their final regular season match of the year, 10-9 win over the Kansas Bandits. Looking at the stat line from that, Rashad Ahmadi had another fantastic night. He appears to have finished the season with 38 goals. So shout out to the Runners and Andres and Rashad. 4-8 finish on the year for the Runners. And their season is done. So that's all that I have.
Good deal. Well, 3 points on the road in the home opener or season opener. Cannot beat that. looking forward to things to come. We got a week off. Well, United has a week off before they find the pitch again at Oakland in 2 weeks from today, I believe. We will be back on Tuesday with Zach Prince. Be able to talk about a win, which is good. And then next Saturday is also the Black and Yellow Bash, which I'm sure I will see some familiar faces there. Me and my wife are going to make an appearance, which is nice. It's the first time will have been to one. I'll get to see the new jerseys. I'll probably buy a couple new jerseys, and we'll go from there. But tuning in on Tuesday, 9 o'clock, as we deep dive into this. We look at a few other things. Hopefully Earl will be able to join us. And, of course, like I said, we have got Zach Prince on. We'll be able to talk to him about the win and the season looking forward. So until Saturday, today's Saturday, until Tuesday, guys, somos unidos.